Hi everybody, welcome to the Video Season Ticket. I'm Eddie Clinton. Well, it's an off week for Texas Tech this week, and we've got kind of an unusual show for you today. It will be an in-depth look at some of the activities going on at Tech. We thought we'd talk to the offensive and defensive coordinators for you, talk about those programs, talk recruiting with Doyle Parker, the recruiting coordinator, and we'll talk to 5 seniors who are on their last go-around at Texas Tech, and of course we'll talk to Coach Dykes. We'll have all of that this week, so let's get started.
Recruiting year will begin about 1st of March, and we will then mail out forms to all the high schools in the state of Texas and some of the neighboring states, and they in turn will put down their prospects that they feel like are Division I prospects for the next year. So we're talking about juniors now in March, okay? So when we get all those back, it usually takes a couple of months to get those back. So by the time the 1st of May rolls around, then our coaches are able to hit the road and go into their designated areas. And we've got the state divided into 9 areas, and they'll take those cards by their areas and go in and check these prospects out that the coaches have sent in.
We're talking about an extraordinary number of names, and how do y'all get those down to a manageable few?
Well, of course, you know, right now we're probably sitting close to 400 names, and we'll whittle that down to you know, around 100 or so, 150, and then out of that, you know, we'll visit around 70, bring in for official visits during the months of December and January. And then out of that group, then we'll sign up to 25 is the maximum number that you can sign each year. Of course, that's all according to how many you have available.
Sure. Now, I know the NCAA has cracked down in terms of alumni involvement and things like that. But you always hear the old story about somebody sends in a postcard and says, look at this kid, and he becomes a star. Does that ever happen?
Sure, it happened last year. You know, we signed Alfred Montez out of Grenada, Colorado, and we've got a ex that farms, ranches up in that part of the country, southeast corner of Colorado, and he sent us a letter telling us about this 8-man player that he'd seen play on another team, played his team, and said we might want to check him out, and we did, and we liked what we saw, and thought we had us one hit out up there, but Colorado State and Colorado found out about him later, but he just loved his visit to Lubbock and to Texas Tech, and he's doing very well right now. I think he's going to be a good player.
So how can people help you as far as?
Well, if they see a good player, Eddie, and you know, either in the high school or junior college ranks, and they think that he's got the ability to play at this level, you know, they can drop us a line, and we'll sure follow up on it.
Do you recruit by position? When you get together as a staff, do you recruit, we need so many quarterbacks, we need this? What's the process?
That's exactly how we do it. We will have a position recruiting meetings every so often during the recruiting year. And that will change according to how your team progresses along. You know, your feelings about what you need may be different in September than it is in November after the season's over. And but we will, when we go into the final stages, in other words, into the December and January portion of the recruiting process, we'll recruit by position, saying we're going to take, say, 1 quarterback, for example, 3 running backs, 1 tight end, whatever the number might be. And you try to stay with that plan. It doesn't always work that way because you've got, say you're going to take one quarterback and you've got 5 of them there that you take any of the 5, or you like one better than the other 4. But you're not going to drop down. If you don't get any of the 5, you're not going to drop down to another level below there to take one where you might be able to pick up an extra offensive lineman or 2 over here. So it doesn't always work out by positions like you'd like it to, but you still got to have a plan.
You guys have done well in the past 2 or 3 years recruiting, I believe. I really believe that. And don't you think that some of your success is owed that most of you guys on this staff are former Texas high school coaches?
Well, most of our staff have been in Texas high schools, and they've got great rapport out there among the Texas high school coaching staffs. And they're well known and they're well liked, well respected, and therefore, you know, they feel like they can send one of their players to Texas Tech and he's going to be taken care of as far as being treated fairly, and that his well-being is going to be taken care of, and that we want him to get an education. And that's important to those high school coaches.
And you know where Divine is,
That's
and Houston,
true.
and the whole 9
That's
yards.
true.
And
That's
you
true.
notice I did not say y'all were old high school football
Hey,
coaches. You were former,
you're so kind.
so we're still friends.
We're still friends.
Kind of wanted to touch base with you. Does it seem like it's been 5 years since you left Texas Stadium, Hurst Bell, beating Plano there? First time I saw you, and 5 years have gone by. I'd like for you to just talk a little bit about the last 5 years.
Well, it's flown by, like you said, and it's been great. There's been a lot of great memories and a lot of great ball games that I've played in and just been a part of. And, you know, there's been no regrets along the way. I've enjoyed myself. And, you know, I think the biggest thing of all is that the teammates that I've had, the friendships that I've shared, and there's just been a lot of great things like that. And I think that's been the most important thing.
I've never seen anybody get beat up like you do. Frustrating. How is it for you, really?
It really has been frustrating, you know, especially last year. I had a rough year with a lot of nagging injuries, little injuries that just, you know, maybe not be able to play. And I just thought this year it was going to be, you know, like I said, injury-free year. And I've, again, had a couple little injuries that banged me up. But, you know, we've got 5 games to go, and I plan on playing in every one of those to finish up my senior year on the right note.
I have talked to a lot of quarterbacks that have gone through Texas Tech, and they all get caught up in the same thing. The fans want this one, they want that one. Does that bother you as an individual?
No, I don't think so. If I tell you, that's just the position of quarterback, and that happens on every team, no matter what level, high school, college, and pro. And you know, to tell you the truth, it hasn't been that bad since I've been here. I've had great support in the 5 years that I've played here, and you know, I really haven't had that many problems with it. So I've been real fortunate in that sense.
What about next year? Going to the business world, or what are you going to do here?
I don't know. We're going to get my degree in the summertime, and I'd like to carry on playing football, I'll tell you the truth. If there's a chance that I can play in the NFL, that's what I want to do. And I just want someone to give me a chance, if I don't get drafted, to be a free agent. And, you know, just continue playing football. If that's what, you know, is meant to be, I want to do that. If not, probably go back to Dallas and, you know, work somewhere.
You don't realize how fast it goes once you get here. You know, you think about it and you think about it. Before you know it, you know, like you say, there's 5 games left, and the season will be over with. And for a lot of the seniors, you know, it's going to be the last time football they ever play. And hopefully for some of us, you know, maybe not. But it has gone fast, and I've enjoyed it, you know, every bit of it. So looking forward to the last 5 games, though.
What takes place next year? What do you really want to do?
It's kind of hard to say, you know. Everything's so much up in the air. Got a baby on the way, and that kind of puts your priorities in perspective, and you start thinking about life a little bit differently. And you've got somebody to provide for now, a wife and a child. So if the opportunity presents itself, I'd like to continue playing football. If not, you know, I think God's got a will for everybody's life, and for mine, hopefully, wherever He leads me, I'll go, and hopefully everything works out well.
touch on that, if you would, being an old married man. How does that separate you from your teammates? And I know you probably wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
No, I wouldn't. We got married young. You know, we were both we were 20 and 21 when we got married, and like I said, your priorities are a little bit different when you get married. Kept me out of a lot of trouble, I think. Kept me home a lot, you know, when guys are out on town and stuff, and it does that for you, I guess. One thing. It's good to always have. There's always somebody there. You know, there's always somebody there to talk to. There for you when you need her, and it's been great. You know, I don't regret it a bit, and got looking forward to a long, happy life.
I understand you came to Texas Tech on a track scholarship.
Yeah.
I have never seen you run track. Give me that story.
I ran track in high school, and I ended up lucking out and winning state my senior year in the hurdles, and I had originally signed with the Air Force Academy to go play football, and then I kind of decided that I wasn't really the military type, so I kind of called all the Southwest Conference coaches and told them I was backing out. You know, it was kind of like being recruited all, you know, for a second time again. And I had 4 of my best friends that came to Tech with me that I ran around in high school, and that's pretty much why I chose Tech, you know. So, and I ended up here, and then I've never run track since I've been here.
You've got 5 games left in your career. Talk about it. Has it gone fast? Just talk about the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it's gone real fast. It doesn't seem like very long ago when we were all having to live in the dorms, and, you know, it was wild, and we still talk about it sometimes, you know, and we go out and talk about how fun it used to be, you know, because you didn't have any responsibilities and you didn't have to be ready to play on Saturdays, you know, and it was just kind of, you just had a good time, you know, and now it's a little different story, you know. It's important, and you have to get mentally prepared and physically prepared, and it's but it's, you know, it's been worth it, and this will be something that I'll remember forever.
When are you going to finish up in school, and after that, what? Any ideas?
Well, hopefully if things fall into place, you know, if I can get all my scheduling done, I'll end up graduating at the end of the summer term, and if not, I'll have to go and, you know, take a few hours in the fall, but hopefully I can get my classes arranged, you know, that'll be available, you know. So if it'll work out for me, you know, I'm hoping to get out by the end of the summer.
Business world, or are you going to try to play on Sundays?
You know, I always give it a shot first to try and play on Sundays. That's easy money, you know, so I'd rather do that than work anyway.
It's been like saying it was just yesterday, you know. I can still remember the first day of 2 days when we all reported, me and the guys, you know, getting the feel of each other, wondering who was playing what position and whatnot. And now here we are, 5th-year seniors in our last couple of games, and it is a pretty strange feeling right now.
What do you do the rest of this season? Some people have said, well, 2 and 4, things like that. Talk about what you as seniors do the rest of the year.
Well, we just try to keep you know, a positive attitude and keep all the guys up. You know, every game is like the Super Bowl to us now. You know, this is our last season together. You know, there's a lot of memories between us 25, 26 guys. You know, and we just want to go out with a bang.
You set for a couple of years, and then you got your chance. You had a great year last year. What are you working toward? Where's Rodney Blackshear head for you?
Well, hopefully, you know, I'll get a shot in the NFL, and if not, you know, I'm only about 18 hours away from my degree after this semester, so something good is going to happen, going to come out of it either way I look at it. You know, if I don't get a chance, I'll still have my degree to fall back on.
What are your main attributes? Because I think you'll play on Sundays. What do you think is going to put you there?
I hope it's my ability to catch the pass. You know, I'm not a receiver with great speed, you know, but I can get open, and I like to make the catch all the time, you know. It's a strong desire to win.
Long way from Houston. Anything you'd change when you left home and came all the way up to Tech?
No, it was great, you know, the whole time I was here, you know. It helped me grow up, become a more mature person, you know. That's one of the main reasons I came this far from home, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
I hadn't regretted nothing. It's been great, you know. I've met a lot of people here, good friends. Got to participate, you know, in great teams, and the people here in Lubbock are great.
What's next? Get your degree, get out, get in the real world? Are you going to try to play on Sundays? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, you know, playing on Sundays is really not up to me. You know, I'm just going to do the best I can, you know, and that'll take care of itself. But I'm definitely going to get my degree, and I want to go into coaching. You know, when you've been around, you know, good coaches all your life, it kind of encourages you a little bit to go into coaching, do some coaching.
You're going to give a little bit back?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You kind of like Wingo, one of the old married men on the team. Talk a little bit about being married and playing college football and the responsibilities there.
I tell you, it's a lot of responsibilities. You know, you can't jack around out here no more with all the guys. Then go, you know, get something to eat and all that. You got to go home and spend a little time with your family and everything. But you know, I don't regret it. You know, I like it. I think it's settling me down, helped me focus more on my game.
Final question for you. You guys 2-4 on the year. What do you do as a group of seniors to make sure this year turns out positive?
Well, we just try to keep everybody's heads up, you know, and let everybody know we have a long season left. We have 5 games left. We win those 5 games, no telling what happened. You know, this still can be a great year, especially, you know, when you come from behind like we're gonna have to do.
First question I guess I've got for you, are you a much smarter coach this week than you were last week? Seems like some of the guys have said that's true.
I guess you're always smarter when you win. We feel a lot better than we did last week. You know, it's been some rough weeks for us and the players also, but felt like we played a lot better. Of course, SMU has a good football team. They're a much improved football team from when we played them last year, so we were tickled to death with a win.
Carlos, let me ask you from a defensive coordinator's standpoint, how do you go about meeting with your staff and what the responsibilities are and how you coordinate all that?
Well, you know, of course, everybody on our defensive staff's got a responsibility as far as the position they coach, and then what we do is everybody has a responsibility as far as breaking down the opponent and getting ready for them, and then we all get together and put all those different breakdowns together and formulate some kind of game plan. We all have input into it. I'm not a smart enough guy to just do it all myself and say, hey, we're going to do this, and we've got some real experienced coaches on defense, so we all work the thing together and everybody has their input, and then we all get together and decide on a game plan.
You changed to the 3-4 this year. Would you talk a little bit about that in terms of what made those decisions, and have you checked it every week as you go along this week, and how do you feel about it overall?
Well, we feel like we've gotten better. Started off when you're doing something new, of course it's different for the players, and we feel like as we played, we've gotten better at the defense. We certainly need to keep progressing like that. We're not good enough right now, but we've gotten better in lots of areas. We changed with you know, maybe have a little more speed on the field than what we've had before. Don't have quite as much size, but the guys run a little better. We've gotten better up front, I think, as we played. Fred Petty has progressed and gotten better all year. Sean Jackson has come along and becoming a real good player for us. So Harry Dice is beginning to come at the other end. So we feel like we've gotten better than we were at the first of the year there. Our outside backers have gotten better. That was a completely new position for those guys. Kirkpatrick, Licio, and some of those people, Gerlich and Wickware, and so we feel like they've gotten better. Our inside people, Wingo has certainly played well. Of course, we missed him last week. He was hurt, but the people did a good job that were in there. Steve Carr has done exceptionally well for being away from defense for a year. He's done a great job for us coming in there. And secondary-wise, we feel like we've gotten better. When we started playing the season, our corners certainly had not played very much college football, and so they've gotten better as time gone along in that they've gotten more aggressive. You know, the more aggressive they play, I think the better they'll get, and they both played a lot better last week. Our safeties have been pretty stable throughout the year. Dubisky is having him really a first-class year, and Tracy Saul, of course, is taken up right where he left off. So we feel like we're getting better coverage-wise and better overall defense-wise. The more we play it, we feel like the better we'll get.
Talk a little bit about your junior college transfers. I've noticed you mentioned Harry Dice, folks like that come in here. Is there a major adjustment from junior college to playing Southwest Conference football? Yeah,
there is. Of course, I coached in junior college myself for several years. It's been quite a while ago, but there is a big difference because you don't get as much individual coaching in junior college as you do in the Southwest Conference, and it's just because of the limited number of staff members that they have in junior college. So a lot of the individual techniques and individual assignments that a guy has in Southwest Conference, they're a lot more, I guess you could say, complicated, or maybe there's just a lot more things to do than there is in junior college, where you don't get individually coached every down.
Now with the off week, do you go back and look at the season up to this point, or are you solely concentrating on Rice?
Yeah, we've gone back and looked and seen kind of what's good, what has been good for us, and what we've gotten better at, and what we haven't gotten better at. But you know, after we get to that point, then you know, these couple of days that we're going to work out, about 3 days we're going to work out. One of them was spent primarily on just individual techniques and fundamentals, and now the last two we'll introduce Rice to them. We won't really go down and just say that this is exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to introduce what Rice basically does as their main offense.
When things aren't going well, like they did for, say, a 4-week stretch there, does Carlos Maynard spend a lot of time evaluating himself as defensive coordinator as well as the team?
Yeah, I think anytime things don't go well, the first thing you got to do is you don't start doubting each other as coaches or players or anything else. You try to look for what is happening, what's wrong, and what can we do better. And I think we've got a mature staff, and that you know, that doesn't happen. So what you do is try to evaluate yourself and say, hey, what is the best thing we're doing, and what's the worst thing we're doing, and let's do more of what we're doing good, and let's get better at what we're not doing good. And I think it's a thing where, of course, the old saying about the team atmosphere and all that, it certainly is. You have to have some faith in the people you work with, some faith in the players, and they have to have faith in the coaches and stick together. And thank goodness, I think all of our guys have done that.
You guys a lot smarter coaches this week after you won last week?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm sure that's the way several people perceive it. But oh, it's a good feeling. You know, our kids played good, and you know, we were due for something good to happen, and we kind of put it all together. Defense played real well. You know, gave us some good field position, and we were fortunate enough to take advantage of it a few times, you know, so it worked out pretty good.
Talk a little bit about an offensive coordinator. I'd like to know how you set your staff up and how y'all delegate authority and where the game plans come from.
Well, and basically what we do is Ted Umbehagen and I, of course, been here the longest, and he's an offensive line coach who does a great job, and he's basically in charge of the running game. And Ivy Williams, our receiver coach, is basically in charge of the passing game. And Rick Dykes, who coaches the offensive backs, works both parts of it, and everybody does. But as far as responsibility, that's kind of the way that I set it up. And then game plan wise, Ivy and I get together and we decide more or less on the passing game, where Rick and Ted decide on the running game, and try to approach it that way where it's kind of broken down, and then we get together on Monday and put it all together, you know, and go through every little thing that we feel like would be good that week. And of course you have some carryover, but defenses are different now. They defense you. I mean, what they did last week doesn't necessarily mean what they're going to do against you, and we see that an awful lot. We use a lot of formations and a lot of motion, and people adjust differently. So there's, you know, you have a game plan, but there's certain things that you have to make adjustments to. You know, the game plan is based on what you see before you play, and then early in the game, of course, there's got to be some adjustments made.
Speaking of offenses, I know Houston's been caught up to a little bit, or do you say that injuries or a young offensive line, is it a continuing struggle between offenses to stay ahead of defenses and that type of thing, and how far ahead do you change things?
Well, I think that we're a little bit different offensively because we don't hang our hat on any particular thing. We feel like to be successful that we've got to run the ball some. But balance-wise, we're probably as balanced as anybody in the conference. You know, we run about the same amount as we pass, and most everybody is one way or the other. So it's you try and stay ahead. The day of lining up and knocking people off the ball is over. I mean, you just can't do that anymore. Everybody's big and strong, and so finesse has become a lot more important. And we kind of approach it with the idea that we use a lot of formations to try and confuse people a little bit and get them to line up wrong and take advantage of it. And you know, when you do that, and then sometimes you worry about doing too much stuff, but at the same time, everything you do, those defensive people have got to work on it during the week, you know, when it's, so the more you do, the more they have to work on.
Is there a Dick Winder philosophy, or is that it, split run and pass?
Well, I think that's basically it. I think, and we try to approach it that way in every game, but if you get a hot hand in one area or the other, it's, you know, it's, A&M game was a good example. You know, we couldn't run it at all, and we came out the second half and basically threw the football and had, you know, a little bit of success, a lot more than we did the first half. So we probably should have done that earlier, but it's easy to look back to. And then when you lose your starting quarterback early and you got one left, you have to be careful about that too. So it's no, I think my philosophy is that that we try and stay balanced, and sometimes that's hard to do, but because you got a lot of people you got to be happy, you know, keep happy, and running backs like to carry it, and receivers like to catch it, and quarterbacks like to throw it. So it's you know, it gets to be a strain sometimes.
If we played better, we could really have won some games, and I understand that. I mean, I know just exactly how that works, and it bothers you as a coach. It really does. But what really bothers you if you throw the towel in and just quit, and you start doubting everything, and you give up, and you say, you know, that's not, you know, we're not in that kind of situation, and our guys aren't in that kind of situation. We have good young players, and we're playing a lot of young people. You know, this line. Played last year as a freshman, they did pretty good. They played this year as a sophomore, and they done pretty good. They're still not, you know, they're still not big old strong seniors yet or juniors, and it takes a while. It really does. And I'm not certainly not alibiing for that, but you know, when you play as many young people as you play, well, it takes a while sometimes to get to playing just like you'd like to. Even though we've had some disappointments in the productivity, we certainly aren't down. And you lose guys like Rodney Blackshear for a while. You lose guys like Lloyd Hill, and they seem to be the spark plug of your offense. And it does. It affects the way you play, because then everybody starts gasping and everybody starts trying to make big plays. And you don't win championships trying to make big plays. You win championships and you win games by making plays. You make enough plays and some of them turn into big plays. But we've pressed a little bit, and I understand that, but maybe during the open date we can sort of regroup a little bit, and we can circle up the wagons a little tighter, and we can really have some good practices and come back and have all hands on board when we play Rice and play the best we've played all year.
And Rice in the pushover. Good gracious.
No, Rice just got through beating the number 8 team in the nation, Baylor, and beat them. I mean, wasn't any fluke. Rice has got a good team. They really do. They've done a good job at Rice. They've got the nation's leading rusher, Trevor Cobb, played good defense, and they're a good, solid football team. Our boat is certainly loaded, believe me.
Well, let's win about 5 straight and smile a lot more.
Well, you know, that would be a great thing, and I don't know that it's a funny thing. The year we went to the All-American Bowl, you know, we weren't just setting the woods on fire at this stage of the schedule. We won a lot of games in a row late in the season to get there. And that happens all the time. And, you know, I know Brigham Young was 0-3, and, you know, now they're 3-3, and they're playing in their conference, and, shoot, they think they might win it. Well, what I'm trying to say is that you just don't give up and you don't throw the towel in and say, well, we haven't got a chance. I don't believe that. I believe we do have a chance, and we're going to be disappointed if we don't win a lot of games between now and the time the season's over.